giving us the voice.
For being out there helping to keep the constitutional republic.
I want to thank you for
your support for veterans in the military.
Educating us.
Standing up for conservatism.
Giving us the truth.
Daybreak with Drew Steele.
All right, scheduled to join us, Congressman Byron Donalds. We just wait. We see, I know he's quite busy, so a lot going on in D.C., as you can imagine. And so once we get that call, we'll put it right through. Is that it? Okay, there you go. Congressman Byron Donalds is joining us on Daybreak, 92.5 Fox News. How are you?
How you doing, my friend?
Yeah,
I'm good, actually. Look. So, honestly, I'm good.
Yes,
but I'm pissed right now.
I know that
because there's so many things are happening. Drew, you already know this. You're probably already talking about this another Democrat lawfare case in Arizona.
Oh yes,
the knucklehead AG who, quote unquote, won by 200 votes, even though she went into court and sued for 9,000 ballots not to be counted. That's what she did. And so now they're going and bringing back this fake electors foolishness, right, when having an alternative slate of electors is not illegal. There's nothing illegal about that, Drew. Yeah. It has happened before in American history. Yeah. But for this knucklehead lady who barely won, allegedly, because they didn't even count all the votes in Arizona, for this lady now to come out 6 months before an election in a battleground state where Trump is up 5 by the latest polling, she now comes out with some bogus case against Mark Meadows, against Rudy Giuliani and so many other people who were involved in Trump world, who by the law were doing what they could to help President Trump win in 2020. This is outrageous, man. Yeah. They are interfering with this election. This is just a sham. And my hope is that people in Arizona, I'm going to be in Arizona on Saturday, so you could already tell I'm fired up about this.
Yeah.
The people of Arizona have to look at this tyranny in the face, and they have to stand against it. Because if you allow them to win by this way, this isn't going to be the last time. They're going to continue to do this. And over the weekend, I was talking to one of the people that's going to go on to become a counsel at the NRA. And I know people don't make this corollary, but a few years ago, when the Democrats started hauling the NRA into these phony, bogus lawsuits all across the country, the entire purpose was not to beat the NRA. The purpose was to bleed the NRA of its money. And right, wrong, or indifferent, they were successful in that. And now they've taken that same lawfare strategy and they've now turned it on to President Trump. This is disgusting, and it's un-American. Yeah,
two things. For people that don't know, a grand jury in Arizona handed down indictments against 11 Arizona Republicans after this fake elector controversy, and also to throw in not only with some of the names there, but they brought in Rudy Giuliani and Mark Meadows and some others. People that were brought into this. Just unbelievable in the lawfare that is going on and continuing. And it just happens to be coincidentally at important points in our history right now, like polling that's showing how bad Biden is doing and the increase that's happening in swing states that the former president has in all kinds, especially Arizona and other places and the like. And then the second part of it is, boy, this is... when you recognize it, when you see it, you know it. And it's something that we've talked about many times in the past. And it's this playbook, Congressman. It's this playbook again of the point that you just made, bleeding Trump dry, taking him to all of these court cases and $500 million in bond and the like, and just bleeding dry. And Rudy Giuliani, who had to go through the same thing and bleeding dry. And then now you have all of these bleeding cash and taking the money from individuals to the point where I'm telling you that you get to a place where who wants to run? Who wants to run for office? Who wants to run for president? Who wants to get involved in any of this? And the left would love for you to think that way. They would love for us to be like, we don't want to get involved in this because they I don't want my life being put out this way. I don't want to have this possibly being my life. And that's part of it as well.
Drew, that's 100% correct. And let me be clear. The Democrats, they do want some Republicans to run. Who they want to run are these French Republicans, these Benedict Arnold types, who will go and say nice things and say good things when they campaign, but when the rubber actually meets the road, when it's time to stand against their insane agenda, they want the Republican that's just going to be like, oh, well, we tried.
Right.
But, they control the other half of the place, and so this is the best that we can do. That kind of mindset just can't be tolerated anymore. And look, I know in our party, as a Republican, I know we have varying views. There's varying degrees of, am I American first? Am I a Tea Party conservative? Am I a traditional conservative? Am I a social conservative? Do I want to just always try to find a way to get a deal done regardless of how good the deal is? There's all those different mixes of Republican within our party. I understand that. I respect that. I recognize that. But we have to realize that we are dealing with a very radical Democrat Party, especially Democrat leadership. You cannot tell me that all these cases just start popping up right before an election and it is not coordinated. This is coordinated. And the demonstration of that is that you have this guy, Matthew Colangelo, who is at Maine Justice. The number 3 guy at Maine Justice, that's a career move, Drew. Nobody gets to the number 3 part at Maine Justice and it turns around and leaves to go be some frontline prosecutor in a DA's office. That is a joke. Drew, I was in finance. That's like a guy who found his way to end up working to being the number 3 guy at a private equity firm and then saying, you know what, my highest and best use overall is going to be an account services manager at the local bank. Right. It just doesn't happen, Drew, unless it's coordinated and it's on purpose.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Michael Colangelo, number 3 in the DOJ.
I say Matthew Colangelo? It doesn't really matter what the man's name is, but that's what's happening.
So what he does is somehow ends up with the DA, Alvin Bragg in New York, and ends up as a low-level prosecutor because everybody knows that you work your way up to be the number 3 guy at the DOJ only to go, you know what, just toss me into this place that's a low-level position, which just happens to be the position that you want to be in if you were going to be prosecuting a former president for the most ridiculous of made-up crimes against him. It's so coincidental until you realize that it's not coincidental, that it's coordinated. You're using the wrong letter C word there. It's not, or coincidence. I failed spelling and math, but that's a whole other subject. But anyway, yeah, so all of this gets frustrating and gets down to the ultimate point, which is now what do we do? It's about elections having consequences, and it's about electing the right people that are not going to be soft, that are going to fight, and knowing, and now this is the other side of the ugly part of all of this, knowing that the left isn't just going to take their ball and go home, that they're going to continue to fight, and it's going to get worse. But you have to be prepared for what's coming. You have to elect people that are prepared for that kind of fight that we're going to have politically.
Listen, I think that where we are right now, the Republicans that are needed, they have to have the strength to give no quarter to these people.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even, there's points where there could be an agreement, but even finding that agreement, you have to take the Democrats, frankly, through the 7 stages of grief. Like, you have to make them earn the agreement. You just can't get there easily. I'm going to just get to the point because I know a lot of people at home have been talking about it. That's what happened over the weekend with the foreign aid bill, Drew.
Yeah.
And I listen, Speaker Johnson, I like the man, but I've watched all his interviews and he's not been factual. Let me tell you what really happened. A month ago, when the Democrats were doing their foreign aid border bill, and we all knew the border piece was a piece of hot garbage, was not going to fix the issue. Even Speaker Mike Johnson knew that. And Speaker Mike Johnson, along with many of us, said that, no, we're not going to support the Senate border bill because it sucks. It's a bad bill. You remember I came on your air and I told you that.
Yep.
He was saying that. I was saying that. So many of us were. At the same time, his entire speakership up until last weekend, Mike Johnson had been saying that we're not going to release Ukraine aid without securing the border. We've been very consistent on that. So somewhere along the way, the war hawks, the defense guys, the intelligence community guys, they were in his ear nonstop about what was going on in Ukraine and about how Ukraine needs bullets and it needs ballistics, weapon systems, etc. And I know that. Like, I don't want Vladimir Putin taking Ukraine. I do not. That creates major foreign policy issues for the United States if Vladimir Putin takes Ukraine. Nobody wants that. But let's be perfectly honest here, Drew. Our southern border is a national security problem. And so if you're going to have a supplemental to fix national security problems, then you need to start with the one here at home, something that can easily be done if you stand strong and take the Democrats through the 7 levels of grief. Mike Johnson didn't do that. And what made matters worse is that he gave the Rules Committee over to the Democrats in order to get the bill through. There were 300 Republican amendments, 300, that were filed against that bill. A lot of them would have passed. One of them was an amendment I drafted and several other members drafted that would have blocked the president from being able to forgive the loans, the loans that were in the foreign aid package, because they said it was a loan. We find out that it's actually not a loan. What it is that the president can forgive it in November. So who's president in November, Drew? Yeah, the master of disaster himself, Joe Biden. Stuff like that's written in that bill. Mike Johnson could have stood against that. He did not. He gave the Rules Committee over to the Democrats. So when the Democrats control the Rules Committee, because they're the ones voting for the package to get out of Rules Committee, what that also means is the Democrats control what amendments go to the floor. And they basically told the speaker, if you want our votes for this package, those Republican amendments cannot go on the floor. This is what happened. And so when you take a step back and look at everything that is going on, not just Ukraine, FISA, what's happened from a foreign policy perspective, the fact that our southern border is wide open, the fact that Joe Biden is limiting natural gas production and mining in the United States, the crazy Green New Deal stuff, what's happening on our college campuses, the lawfare going on against President Trump. When you look at it all, you cannot break bread with these people. They have to be defeated. They cannot be compromised with. And if you finally get to a compromise, it's because you have taken them through the seven stages of grief. We need somebody who's going to look at it through that lens. Mike Johnson, as much as I like the man, he failed us last weekend.
Wow. Yeah, so now what? Now where do we go?
Well, Drew, I'm going to tell you right now, when we go back to D.C., I think there's going to be a serious meeting amongst Republicans. That's what I'm anticipating. I know people are saying, well, that's why we got to vacate them. I don't agree with that. That's going to create more problems than it's going to solve. Listen, I just want to make sure that the Republican leadership is fighting for the principles that we all stand for. Yeah. That's what I want to see. Yeah. And so, look, the Democrats are just going to sit there and use the media because they can't debate their points. So what happens in Capitol Hill is they just sit back and they do nothing. And essentially they just wait us out. And that's really what happened. They just sat there on their hands. They didn't do anything. They didn't come up with any solutions. The border solution they had in the Senate was a joke. And that's where you had, again, soft Republicans negotiating with the Democrats. That's how you end up with a package like that. It was stupid. And everybody knows it was stupid. And I know Mr. Langford of Oklahoma. And if we have a serious sit-down conversation over that, I'm going to be like, dude, yeah, you might have got 1 or 2 or 3 pretty good things, but you gave up the farm in the process. That's a bad deal. I don't care where you come from. Yeah. You cannot have these soft stances with these people, because at the same time, while they smile in your face, they're going to cut your knees out from underneath you, doing all this other stuff. These people must be defeated. Drew, I've just never felt so strongly about it.
I hear it. I hear it in your voice. We only have another minute, but to the point, I hear your passion, and I just hope that there are others who are getting the credit for understanding what you understand and are willing to do the right thing, because far too often all we hear about are losses. That's all we hear about. For all the people that said things about, when Trump was, look at all the losses. Well, hold on a second. How about what we're doing right now? You have Republicans there who are losing each and every day. by the things that they are deciding to do there. And people don't understand it. It's like, why is it that the Democrats are always the ones who sit back and let us implode? Why are we the ones that always fold? What's the matter with the Republican Party that they're the ones that won't
Drew,
fight?
I have a message for people in Southwest Florida because I know they exist. They did not. They are Republicans who did not vote for President Trump in 2020. I know they're there because I knocked on a lot of doors in 2020.
Yeah.
And I talked to them and tried to convince them. People would always say, well, we love the policies, but we don't like the personality. I'm telling you, you don't get the policies without the personality because you got to have a leader. You got to have leadership who's willing to look at these people, never flinch, and continue to move forward. And you got to have somebody who also has the ability who's going to ridicule these people and demonstrate how foolish they truly are, because they are foolish, Drew, and they hide behind the media because they know the media is in the tank and in the pocket for them. Because if they had to actually debate their ideas, people would be like, that's stupid. Who is this knucklehead person?
Right.
And why is that their idea? But you got to have somebody who has that strength, who does not care about what everybody thinks, who's going to push forward with what needs to happen. And so that's how you get the policies from the Trump presidency. You got to have that personality and that mindset. So I know there are people who will say, well, we don't want to see all the chaos. Well, the chaos is being brought to us by the Democrats. Have you seen Columbia University?
Yeah, it's here now. What are you talking about? Right.
The chaos is being brought to us by the Democrats. When you say, oh, we don't want to see all of the negative talk. Well, have you seen MSNBC lately?
Yeah.
That ain't us. That's them.
Yep.
We got to be one party. We got to stand behind President Trump.
Yep. All right, Congressman Byron Donald is joining us on Daybreak 92.5 Fox News. We got to jump. All right, I'll see you later. Thanks so much.
See you, Drew.
Okay, see you.